everyone. My name is Ahsan chohan, and I'm currently working as a manager, business systems and business analysis in one of the Fortune 500 companies, that is S&P Global. I'm a certified Salesforce admin, a certified Scrum Master, a Conga admin, and a Capado admin as well. So today, the topic of our presentation would be process builder. The reason I opted for process builder is the fact I believe this is declarative automation at its best. So before we jump into the table of contents, one of the reasons I opted for this session was the fact whenever I go into any offices or have to get any documentation done, and I figured out there are so many simple use cases which could have been automated just by using process builders or flows in Salesforce. But yes, one person signs one document and then we have to wait a day or two so they can physically or through any method they can send it to someone else and they approve it or enter their inputs, and then the things move forward. So the way we'll be taking this session today is initially we'll talk about what is a process builder. The next one would be why process builders and not something else. Then we'll talk about few process builder actions and couple of use cases which we can automate using with the help of process builders. And last but not the least, we'll have a demo at the end. And for me, that is the most fascinating thing because I'm really interested in showing all of you how simple and easy it is to quickly create a process builder, add different criteria nodes, define different actions within them, and automate so many business use cases there. So first thing, what is a process builder? A process builder is a declarative and a very powerful tool that we can use to automate complex business processes. One advantage to process builder is this is a point and click tool, so you don't actually have to go into coding. And I have to admit once when I graduated from my university or even few years into my professional career, I always believed whenever there's a need for any sort of automation, then yes, it's a dev's job. No one else can do it. But when I got introduced to Salesforce Ohana and got to know about these tools, then I figured out yes, it's not as difficult as I always used to think. And one more advantage of using Process Builder is the fact that it gives you a graphical representation of the whole process, so we can see what triggers what and what happens when. The next would be why process builders. Initially, Salesforce had workflow rules, but they had their own limitations. We could do some actions using workflow rules, but for every new action or every new criteria, we had to create a new workflow rules. So the first and foremost advantage that we have with the process builders is the fact that we can consolidate multiple workflow rules in a simple process builder. And as a best practice, normally we have only one process builder per object, and no matter how many new criteria or new conditions we have to do, we can keep on adding those to the same process builder and achieve different functionalities. Then the future of non-code automation is flows. So using process builders, we have the option where we can check for the criteria using the process builder, and if an object or a record meets a specific criteria, we can launch a flow for even complex actions. One more is creating approvals. You may have all seen especially when we are talking about opportunities or codes or money involved in any processes, then there are few levels of approvals in there. So yes, if a quote is greater than a specific amount, then yes, it needs to go for an approval to someone else, and they manually have to approve, and that takes lots of time. So yes, normally we used to have triggers, but that is again code based, and Salesforce is a big advocate for low code implementations. So yes, through process builders, we can start approvals and send email alerts, do different sort of approval processes, and send it to multiple teams or multiple people and get their approvals. Here are a couple of actions that we can do using process builders. The first one is Apex code. So in process builders, like we can write all that complex logic in a class or in any code based component. And for the checking of the criteria, what we can do, like we can check the criteria in process builder. And if some record meets a specific criteria, on the basis of that, like we can do an action, which would be running an Apex class or any Apex action. Next one can be evil alerts. You may have seen this scenario, like where there are few people who who consolidate different pieces of information throughout the day, and at the end of the day, they have to consolidate all those pieces and send them to a specific person for their review or for their approval. Salesforce gives us the option to automate all that, and like we don't need any manual intervention to do those email alerts or like get those approvals. Next one can be post to chatter. So I'll show you that one in our demo as well. So if any given record meets the criteria, and we want to negate the possibility like the owner missed to check that specific record. So what we can do, we can tag those people in a chatter feed and do any sort of post to them so they don't miss on them. Then we can do quick actions using the process builders as well. One more, like we can create records using process builders. So imagine you are working on an opportunity, and once an opportunity records meets a specific criteria, then we want to create a task for the opportunity owner or like for opportunity owner's manager. Like we'll be doing that actually in the demo as well. One more can be, as we initially said, like we can trigger flows using process builders. So flows are once again like no code automation, but yes, there are few scenarios like where we don't want to create a flow which triggers on the basis of any changes on a record. So we can check the criteria in the process builder itself, and on the basis of if that condition is met, then we can trigger a flow. Next one can be just like creating a record, we can update records as well using process builders. And we'll be trying out an example of that one as well. And last but not the least, like we can call processes or process builders from process builder itself. So that would be a quite complex case, and like we don't, for the sake of time, we won't be able to try that one out. But yes, this is one more additional thing that process builder can do. And moving on, couple of use cases. Like recently, I had exposure to getting my driving license renewed and getting some additional documents. And one day I go there, I get one thing signed, and next day I go there, and they say like, yes, like you have to go to a different office. But yes, when I went there, they said like we haven't received your document or like your notification yet. So for those use cases, and like when I was standing there, I really felt like yes, this could have been like automated so well with the use of a process builder. Next one is creating records and notifications. Yes, like sometimes someone was supposed to like do something, but they either never received a notification or a message for that, or they missed that one. And one more thing is like updating child or parent records. So one limitation which we had with the workflow rules was the fact like it could update the child records, but not the subsequent parent records on the object on which we were creating the workflow rule. So we don't have that limitation with process builders, and like if we are creating a process builder on an object opportunity, then we can update anything on the corresponding objects like accounts or codes or like maybe opportunity products. We'll see that all that like in the demo like real soon. And yes, like if you have any questions, like feel free to drop them in the like Q&A box, and like we can always look at them at the end. Next up is demo, because I always believe like it's better done than seen. If I'm telling all these things, yes, it may seem quite similar, quite simple, but I really wanted to show you like it actually is simple. And what we'll be doing, like we'll have a use case that will be coming from the CEO of the company, and then we as a Salesforce admin, a no code guy, will automate all that using a process builder. So moving on to So like we have like different objects here, and I hope you are like still able to see this Salesforce screen of mine. So we have a request from the CEO of the company, like if any opportunity has an amount greater than 50,000, and like that is in a stage just before closed one, then we want to do a couple of things. One would be like we'll want to mark that account as a high value account. Next up would be like we'll want to send a post to the opportunity owners so they are aware like this has become a high value opportunity. So and they should be working like promptly on that one. And next one would be like we would like to like send an email alert. Yes, like if no one if the stage hasn't changed to closed one from that stage in next 5 days, then we would want to send them like an email alert. And for that one, because we have to work with email alerts as well, so we'll start with email alerts. We'll just quickly go ahead, create a dummy email alert that we can later on use in the process builder itself. Just give me a sec. So we'll start by creating a new email alert, and we'll give it a dummy name for trimming alert. Salesforce itself generates the unique name for it. And because we'll be working on the opportunity object, so we'll select the object as opportunity because this is just for the purposes of a demo. So I'll use this email template. Otherwise, like we can easily create a template of our own with our like custom content. And we are like eventually we are looking to send this email to owners of the account as well as the opportunity. So we'll select this as owner. The first one would be for account, and then for so these will be two recipients of this email alert whenever this is fired. And next up would be if we have to include any other stakeholders like who want to receive a copy of that email, we can include all them in this additional emails box. So I'll go ahead, save this one. We have this email alert up and running. We'll go ahead, search for process builders so we can create one from the scratch. So I'll go ahead, click on new, and start trimming process builder. The API name gets generated. And we have a couple of options like when should this process kick off, like either on a record change or when a like platform event message is received, or should it be invoked by another process, because we are trying to trigger this process when a record changes and when the opportunity amount is greater than 50,000 and stage is a specific one. So we'll select a record change, click on save, and that gives us this canvas. As we were talking about, like this is a graphical representation, and we can like if once we are done with this creating this process builder, we can quickly come here and see like what object this is on, how many criteria and immediate actions and scheduled actions are there, and we'll talk about it like just in next 5 6 minutes. So starting off, first thing we have to do is select the object on which we want to create this process builder. That would be opportunity in our case. Then again, we have two options. Should it only trigger when the record is created or when the record is created or edited? We want it because opportunity amounts can change at a later stage as well, like after creation. So we'll select this option, click on save. And then we have like this whole space, like where we can all add like as many criteria as we want. So the first one would be, we want to check when the opportunity is greater than 50,000. We'll give it a name greater than. 50K. And then we have three further options. Like, should it be checking like when all the conditions which we are going to specify here they are met? Can or we can write a formula like when it the formula evaluates to true, then this condition should like this next immediate action should fire. So we'll be going with the conditions because we have to check few things. So the first one would be when the opportunity amount is greater than 50,000, and we want to add that like stage condition as well. And just because this was a pick list, you can see like how easy it is to like quickly go through rather like going back to the opportunity object and figuring out which specific stage we had to use here. We can simply like pick and choose. Then we can either use and conditions like when all of these conditions should be true, or like any of this condition should be true, or we can even customize the logic. Like if we had like five conditions here, so we can use one and two and three, and but for fourth condition we may want to use the or condition. But in this case we'll be going with when all of these conditions are met. We'll click on save. Like, we have defined our criteria, like what the process builder needs to check. But on the basis of that, when this criteria is met, what we actually want to do. First thing that we would like to do is update the corresponding account record. So update high value on account. And now it again gives us the option like, do we want to make the update on the record which initiated this process, or do we want a record related to that record which triggers the process? As we are trying to update something on the corresponding account, so what we'll do, we'll select a record related to the opportunity, and we will just search for account. That gives us account ID, like the account ID on the opportunity. And on the basis of that, now when we search for fields, it would be showing us account fields instead of opportunity fields because we have already selected account as the object like where we'll be making the changes. So we will search for the field high value client, and this would be a boolean operator. And if this criteria is met, then we want to mark high value client for that account as true. Now either we can stop at this point, or if we have further conditions, yes, like we had like few other conditions, like maybe we want to create a follow-up task, or like generate a chatter feed or an email alert to the opportunity owner or account owner. So the moment we start creating another criteria on this process builder, this stop would change to like evaluate next criteria, and you will see that in real quick. So the next step would be, now we have made that change where high value gets checked on the corresponding account. So on the basis of that high value checkbox, now we'll be making another criteria. Check high value on account. And what we want to do is opportunity dot account, and see in the first criteria we mentioned like we were setting that field as true. Now in this one we are checking if that high value is true. Then what we have to do, we'll define an immediate action here, which would be create a follow-up task. We'll select create a record. We'll be creating a task. Let me just show you. So either we can use a like static ID, like to which specific person this like follow-up task should be assigned to, or like we can use a field reference. Like we already have the opportunity owner on the opportunity itself. So we'll use field reference, and search for opportunity owner. So the task should be assigned to opportunity owner. We can define like what should be the default priority for this task, and like as we are marking it as a high value client, so the priority should be high, and status of that task would be no not started, and high value of alert. And we'll see all these actions really working like once we activate this process builder and like create an opportunity with those conditions. You will see how seamlessly it all works. We have saved this one. Next one would be like on the basis of like when the high value is checked on an account, we would like to add one more action. That would be post a chatter feed to the opportunity owner. So in case they are they miss to check that task of theirs, they can get a notification in chatter at least. Chatter to op owner. So once again, we have a couple of options like either we can send it to a chatter group or like this record or a user. And which user would that be? Like we would have to check it from a record. Like the record would again be opportunity. So we click on opportunity and we search for owner, and we'll select the user ID which exists within the owner ID. We can use all sort of merge fields like we can reference them, but for now what we'll just we would like to reference the opportunity owner. There is a high value opportunity for you to review. Yeah, one more thing, like why I'm doing this, because I want to show you like we can create time-based actions as well. All right, like whenever this criteria is true, these two actions would run right away. But we want to create a follow-up task after a certain time. So what we would do here, we would define a schedule. If 5 days have passed, uh, stage change it. In fact, we would rather use the close state. Save this one. And if 5 days have passed, like after the close date, and like nothing has happened, so we'll add a time-based action here as well, which would be email alerts. And we had just defined a park trimming alert. We'll save this one. And I wanted to like add one more note here as well, but like for the sake of time, we'll go ahead, activate this one, and then see how it actually looks in action. Now that we have it working, what we'll do, we'll go to our test org. Let me quickly pull that one up. That is here. I'm not a lightning guy so far, so still working in the classic layout. So we'll go ahead and try to create a new opportunity which satisfies the condition for that process builder. and, and let me quickly see. All right, so we had used the when the stage is negotiation or review and the opportunity amount is greater than 50,000. So we'll select the stage as negotiation or review. Go ahead and save this opportunity. We'll go to corresponding account on this opportunity, and we can see like we do have a field high value, but that hasn't been marked true. So now we'll try to justify the criteria and do some adjustments so this criteria is met. We'll do 50,001. Stage is already as per the process builder. Click on save. Go ahead, try to refresh the account. This is one immediate action that we had configured in the process builder. Now I'll go back to my home page to see if it has created a task and a chatter feed for me as well. Uh, as you may recall, we had given the subject of high value opportunity alert. So we'll open this task, and it has the correct subject, the correct priority. The status is not started as we had defined in the process builder. And yes, if we wanted to add any further details or provide any references to the opportunity itself, we could have done the same in the same process builder. And what else do we have? Another thing was post a chatter to the opportunity owner. We'll go to the chatter tab. And as you can see, just 2 minutes ago, when we made that criteria as true, at 5:29, it created it gave us the this is most likely my user ID, because I had used the ID of opportunity owner for reference. We could have used the name as well. So it gives us this message: there's a high value opportunity for you to review. And this is these are just the basics. The world is when we talk about non-code automations within Salesforce, there are countless possibilities. Maybe all the things which we have been asking our devs to do for us, creating all those triggers, all those automations. Yes, you can further explore. And yes, flows are the future of workflow rules and process builders. Workflow rules are eventually going to retire, and sometime down the road, builders will also be retired. So flows are the future. And just a food for thought, if you are interested in the process builders or no code automations, you can further check different flows, different process builders, and what it can do and what it cannot. But so far, this was a brief demo that I wanted to show you, how quickly, just within 10 to 15 minutes, we automated a couple of tasks for different business use cases. And down the road, if we have further requirements, we can simply come back to the same process builder. And for making any changes, we would first have to deactivate it, make a clone of it. And yes, we can keep on adding as many criteria and as many immediate and scheduled actions as we may want. But that was a brief about what process builders are and what all they can do. Any questions that we may have so far?
Yes, we do have two questions, Asan.
Sure.
So, number one is, can you schedule a time-based action on when a record is created or updated?
Yes, I think that what we tried to do, when the record was created or edited, on the basis of that, we set up some immediate actions, and on the same criteria node, we can add few time dependent actions, or what you call scheduled actions. Did I get your question right?
I think, yeah, that was the answer. Ikrar Ahmed is asking, what would you recommend to add automation in system, process builder or newly introduced record triggered flows?
uh, as I said, like flows are the future. Yeah, like I would have gone with a demo of flows, but one thing, like I'm not that hands-on. Like I've only created 2 to 3 flows so far, and like I had more grip on process builders. But yes, any given day, the like most optimal choice for automation, non-code automation, is flows. Anything else? Any other questions that we may have? I'll take that silence as a
I
no.
think, yeah, there are no more questions.
Great. So thank you everyone for joining in, and I hope like you at least like found something new in this session.